You know what that means, Jim? It's the breaking news update. We're coming out of Helix Sleep. We're awake. And apparently, things are happening in the wrestling world concerning something we just spoke about. And of course, that man is the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Well, I thought you were going to say that man is the immortal Benjamin Shelton.
Benjamin Shelton.
The folks may recall, if they've been up on the programming, if they've been listening, Hulk Hogan recently blurted out of his ass that all of the hot shot, bad amateur wrestlers and real shooters and dangerous type of people that he's in the ring with, he's been in the ring with, he got Brock Lesnar right out of the UFC. No, he got him right out of OVW. Is where he got him before he'd ever fucking heard of the goddamn UFC. And at the same time, he also mentioned that noted amateur great from the University of Minnesota, Benjamin Shelton. And many people also pointed out, which I guess we didn't need to bring up, but didn't at the time, that out of all the people he mentions, he can't get the black guy's name right.
Well, I mean, the big thing is that we've now learned it wasn't an isolated incident. There's now audio of a second incident where he calls him Benjamin Shelton. So that's what's making it go around today. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Because now there's a little compilation video of the two different times he said it.
Yes, we retweeted I retweeted the tweet that you tweeted about the twit. The twat that can't. But anyway, so there has been an official response, is what we're trying to beat around the bush and say.
Well, from the official. So it's from Shelton Benjamin, the wrestler. I don't know what he has to do with Benjamin Shelton, to be quite honest.
Well, he's the agent of Benjamin because Benjamin Shelton is a shell corporation, actually formed for tax purposes off the Isle of Man. But Shelton Benjamin is the chief executive officer of said corporate. It's a side business he's got in addition to the Hurt Syndicate. But Shelton Benjamin, we will quote, message to @Hulk Hogan. You lost me forever with your, quote, don't get caught, unquote, or as you would call it, quote unquote, apology speech. So rather than screw up my name and pretend we ever had any sort of camaraderie, which we never had, please do me a favor. And then there is the meme, the video, the GIF or whatever of Will Smith saying, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. With the subtitle, just in case you can't read his lips.
Technically, he is.
Yeah.
That's the workaround. What's his problem? I didn't even say his name. I'm talking about some other guy.
Who's the other guy? I thought it was him.
Benjamin Shelton. When I first started out, I was working with Brazil Bobo all over the place.
And then there was Gracie Hoyce. I fought him in Argentina in front of 172,000 people.
So you know Shelton Benjamin. How do you think he takes this when it first happened? Is it something he would laugh at? Is it something that he would be annoyed by? I mean, obviously at this point, he's a little annoyed, maybe more because of the context of Hogan using his name.
No, I think he's more than a little bit annoyed. No, Shelton Benjamin would consider if somebody screwed up his name where it came from, if it was the kind of goofy little kid in the amateur class that, whatever, he would laugh at that because he's got a good sense of humor and he doesn't take himself seriously as a goddamn superstar. There's no Shelton Benjamin magazine like there's a Monet magazine or whatever. He's got a sense of humor, but if it's goddamn Hulk Hogan, who and repeatedly botches his name just because he couldn't be bothered to learn the name of a guy that he worked with, one would think that Hogan would have some knowledge of the wrestling industry. And I don't think he's amused. I don't think Shelton's amused at all. And I also think that Hulk Hogan better keep his name out of his fucking mouth, because look at the two of them. Hulk Hogan, when he was 27 years old, would last approximately fucking 16 seconds with Shelton now if Shelton stopped to pose first.
Oh, come on. Which one of them's the commissioner of RAF Wrestling? Is it Shelton? Is it Benjamin? Or is it Hulk Hogan? And that's what this is all about. He's on a press tour.
And look at, he's the figurehead of an amateur wrestling league. And here's a standout amateur wrestler that could put a ham sandwich on his back and starve him to death. And he don't know his name.
And just so the listeners who are not aware of this can know, here's the 22-second highlight video that's out there. Let's play this audio so you can hear the living exhibit.
Great guys like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, you know, they're Benjamin Shelton. There's some really tough guys. Really crazy wrestlers like.
Well, that was the first interview. Again, brief clip from the Pat McAfee show. And now here's Hulk Hogan on TMZ.
I got Brock Lesnar right after he left the UFC. I got him first. I got Kurt Angle when his eyeballs used to roll back like a shark and he'd come after me. You know, Benjamin Shelton, all these different guys that I've had the opportunity to see adapt to our business.
You know what he's doing is he's written down notes of, they've put so much thought into this and careful planning. And this has been a dream of his that's finally coming to fruition for so long. As he's doing a media tour, he has to write down and memorize notes of the goddamn only 3 guys that he even has bothered to notice had an amateur background so that he can compare his business of pro wrestling some way to what the fuck he's trying to con the people out of now. Is basically what's happening here, is it not?
Isn't this insulting to the legacy of Jack Briscoe that he doesn't get mentioned by Hogan?
Yeah, and that's another thing is Jack Briscoe, when Hogan started in Florida, was the epitome of the shooter, and Jack Briscoe, actually, to be quite honest, was an NCAA champion. That same thing as Angle. That was above Shelton's level at that point. That was, you know, pretty rare air. But the point is, people today don't remember who the NCAA wrestling champion was in the 70s. So he's not going to mention Jack Briscoe. He's going to mention names that he thinks people know. And he could think of 3, and he got one wrong.
Do you think one of the problems with this RAF, one of the problems, I'm not saying this is the problem or an isolated problem, one of the problems is there's like no way to really get, I don't know, I've watched amateur wrestling. The finishes aren't really great. Like, it's exciting when you see the person jumping up and down and celebrating, but like the referee looking for the pin, the angle they're at, it's just, if you're used to pro wrestling, it's an adjustment. It's not necessarily an exciting end.
Well, and that's... Again, it's kind of like maybe what pro wrestling is now, the concept with completely different execution. If you are really into amateur wrestling and understand the scoring system and understand what's going on in front of you, that it can be very exciting. And for the places historically, you know, the Midwest, the Iowas and Nebraskas and, you know, places that produce top amateur wrestling, that's, you know, a thing that they like. But pro wrestling is rapidly getting to that point, unless you really are into it enough to understand everything that's going on and overlook some things and potentially sit through a lot of slow spots. Just completely different execution, but it's starting to be the same kind of thing. You got to really kind of be into it.
Considering this is all Hogan, and he gets a lot of attention for this stuff, for good or for bad, should AEW use this? Should, I mean, the Hurt Syndicate use it too? I mean, it benefits them. Just something on the air, Hulk Hogan, go fuck yourself. And then you move on, you do your stuff with MJF, but is it worth even mentioning on the air because of how much attention you could possibly get? Because Hogan can't fire back. What's he going to say? Hey, Bobby Lashley, I'll kick your ass. Like, he can't say anything.
Well, you know, I kind of see, here's the problem is that you got so many inflammatory opinions over there in the AEW, you know, brain trust as to whether they should or should mention competition or do these things, and sometimes people get to make cute remarks and other times they don't. I don't know at this point if I was MVP, if I might not just issue an open offer. We understand that some of our compadres, our brethren in the professional wrestling industry are branching out, trying to be involved in amateur wrestling, of which we all have some degree of background in as well. And we'd be more than happy if you would like to come here and put any athlete against my men or whatever. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I'll tell you what, Hogan. We won't put you in against Lashley because you know what Lashley will do to you, and you know what Benjamin Shelton will do to you, and he's ready to do it. He hates you. Let the world know it. I'm just a manager, but I'm able to handle myself. Yo, MJF, you want to prove yourself? Take down this old man. And just MJF finally takes down Hulk Hogan, wrestling style. Freestyle.
Yeah, that requires Hulk Hogan. that requires Hulk Hogan to show up. What I'm thinking about is, I like where you were going there. What about if MVP says, if any of these so-called wrestlers from this new league want to face either member of the Hurt Syndicate, then we'll be glad to give you a ring and an opportunity here. But if the figurehead, if he was, I'm just a manager and he's, there's some way to denigrate him as a figurehead. I don't even know if he wants to mention his name or not. Everybody might know, is it the wink, wink, whatever the fuck. But he could say, I'll take you on, just give me 5 minutes.
Someone said, I'm going to put up the money for this thing, and let's get Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. We'll get some publicity. And the publicity they've gotten has been half, Hulk Hogan's full of shit, and the other half, Hulk Hogan looks sick. Like, this is not what you want for the commissioner of this league.
But anyway, so that's the latest conflict. I would imagine we're not going to hear back from the former Terry Bollea.
I know Shelton was there. Forgive me for not remembering. Did Hulk Hogan ever actually work a match with Shelton? Even if it was a tag match? Maybe that's the only way it would be if it was Team Angle, him and Charlie Haas against Hogan, Edge or something.
They've obviously been in the same. They were in the same. Hulk Hogan's match with Brock Lesnar was in 2002.
Right. They were there at the same time. That's right.
Yes, they've been there at the same time. They don't necessarily have to have goddamn wrestled each other. I remember some of these fucking lunatics that I was in the locker room with a few times 30 years ago, much less somebody that was featured on national television from the company that primarily employs Hulk Hogan whenever he is employed gainfully. It's just ridiculous.
They should just
he wrote down notes and he memorized them and he fucked it up at first. That's why he's fucking it up every time until somebody's got the daggum balls to tell him to his face, hey, you're fucking this guy's name up. Well, since Shelton just added him, I wonder if he's looking going, well, what the fuck? What's he mad at me for? I was talking about him.
I think they should cut promos on him every week on AEW TV. It would help the ratings. If you knew every week someone was going to cut a promo on Hulk Hogan, and you knew that every week there was going to be like an awkward several days where Hulk Hogan doesn't comment on it, but everyone knows he knows about it, that's a ratings winner.